Oh, Lord. Yeah, hello, hello, Richie. Twitch didn't want to let your comment post there, Richie, because of your, I'm guessing, biting in the arse. It said it was sexual language. Only if you're doing it right. Know what I mean, boys? Yeah. Ah, shit. All right. Okay. All right. Let's go look at this stuff, huh? Let's jump. Let's jump into it. What is this? We still have a few picks left to filter in, but really, I could have done this probably around noon because all the impact picks have been made by then. Let me get a look at what this looks like on the stream. Ah, okay. Okay. All right. So what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna go through team by team and take a look at some of these rosters that have been constructed, and there are some extremely good ones here. So we'll start with Dizzy P and Denver. Dizzy, a Denver native, I believe. I am theoretically a Broncos fan myself. I am from Western Nebraska. Originally, I live in Eastern Nebraska now. Grew up in Broncos territory, live in Chiefs territory now. I was a rabid Broncos fan from like the mid 90s through the late 2000s, I would say. Um, Basically, the Shanahan era. Once they fired him, I started to lose interest, and I don't really pay attention to the NFL at all now. Um, but we had Broncos season tickets for many years. I like the Broncos or Denver rather on the original ROM too. I think they're a very powerful team. So always got a soft spot for them. Let's start looking at this roster, and there's a lot to like here. This is a really good team. Uh, John Elway at quarterback, Bo Jackson at running back. John Elway is the best quarterback, and Dizzy likes to do the run up the middle stuff. Well, Elway and Montana are the best options. I believe Elway is the better option, but it's close. They're both going to get a few more yards, a yard or two more than your average quarterback will, and that adds up. You do it 3, 4 times a drive, that's going to add up. So he has the best quarterback and the best running back. That is an outstanding start. His receiver core is the New York receivers, headlined by Bavaro, and he's putting them all in the New York playbook. So Bavaro can do a ton of work. They made that playbook specifically for him in a closet somewhere in Tokyo back in 1987. They designed that playbook for Mark Bavaro. So this is an incredibly powerful offense here, and it's one that's going to leave. Okay, Drew says it's the only Dan. It's the only football jersey I have. Now I have something very special coming, right? But it's not here yet. It's probably not going to be here for a week. I'm so delighted, right? I don't have it yet, so tonight it's Von Miller. Dizzy rolls out too. John Elway is the rollout king. Love that move. In tournament play, I love Denver pass one, like inside the 10 or so. I call it Sophie's Choice, which is in incredibly poor taste, but it's just a movie. So you roll Elway to the top, right? And then Mark Jackson does that little out route. Could be standing just short of the end zone. And if the defender comes up to stop Elway on the rollout, you throw to Mark Jackson. If he covers Mark Jackson, you run in with Elway. And if he stands in the middle, you throw to Mark Jackson, he's going to score. So I just, got to respect the rollouts with Elway. Back to the matter at hand, that's an incredibly powerful offense. Defensively, the Seattle top, you got Kenny Easley up there, and Kenny Easley should be good. They really shafted him in this game because Kenny Easley's one of the best safeties in the 1980s. And he has very high top speed, but he has zero initial, and he has rock bottom acceleration, and he plays so slow. It's such a bummer. So that's not a great unit. But the Chicago middle is strong. It's got two of the fastest defenders in the game with Mongo at defensive tackle. He got hurt right before Tecmo came out. Absolute bummer, because he should be a beast. There aren't many defensive backs they have on this game that in real life were better than Kenny Easley, right? Ronnie Lott and who else? Who was better than Kenny Easley? It's a matter for the scholars to debate. So Seattle top, not great unit. Chicago mid, that is a very strong unit. Got a couple of good extra point blockers. I think Singletary is probably the move on that. Singletary himself is a very limited utility, being that middle linebacker. The points in the interior defensive triangle, so either the nose tackle or the middle linebacker, depending on if it's a 3-4 or 4-3, is always blocked on the run, no matter what you do. That's kind of a bummer, and it's a huge waste of the talents of Michael Carter and Mike Singletary, but it is what it is. Mongo, however, works on about half the playbooks. You can scheme him in to some run defense. And boy, howdy, he is a monster when you can do that. And also, a few seasons ago, Chris pioneered the noob rush attack and just rushed in with McMichael no matter what. That was a season both Drew and Chris neglected to draft defenses, and I think Drew had Carter, so they just would sometimes they just rush in with their super fast guys up front. Great stuff. That's a strong unit. And then the bottom, I don't know who his bottom actually is. It doesn't matter because he's got Bruce Smith. Bruce Smith would be the best defensive lineman if he was at top end. I'm still going to give Dexter Manley the nod because he's in a better spot, but it's very close. In fact, it could be a hit refresh. There we go. Look at that. Well, it didn't show up, and I don't think it really matters because if it's a late round pick, I mean, who cares, you know? Still 6 missing bottom picks, but others should fix. Right on. Okay, so we've got the most up to date stuff right now, 40. Don't worry about it. These late round picks, they're kind of all the same. There's not going to be a difference maker. He already has his difference maker on bottom. That's Bruce Smith. He's going to be one of the best defensive players in the league this season. So this is an outstanding squad. He's got Dallas special teams, and he's in the New York playbook. So this is a really great team. I've been thinking that Dizzy is going to have his breakthrough season here for the last few because he always puts a good team out there, and he always plays tough. Like he's never ever a pushover. And so, I mean, this is the team to do it. I don't know how you defend this team, and like offensively, you kind of want to attack the bottom, but there's really fast drones here, so this is a great squad. Now my lovely mug is going to obscure some of what's up, Chris. Some of Drew's team here, but I know who it is. He's got base Phil Sims, Sims Shady, and Kurt Warner. That's a good combo. Sims and Warner. He's got that coveted 9-4 running back. The Miami. No, we haven't got to you yet, Chris. Miami has a 7-1 guy on top and bottom. They're like the center line for receiving cores. Not good, but also it could be a lot worse. He spent his hero pick on the powerful Minnesota line. Drew, that's the best line that was available, right? They're better than Indy? Japan, Minnesota's better than Indy? And he's putting it in the Minnesota playbook. Drew is expecting big things. Okay, so he's got the best O-line possible. This is an offensive unit that is short on like top line talent. There's not a huge playmaker there, but Kurt Warner's been a good player in this league since it started. He's just a really good back. So Minnesota playbook is not my favorite because I'm garbage with the 4 receiver play. San Fran and Cleveland also have that play. I'm just not good with it. And then I'm not crazy about their other option, the other one as well, where top wideout goes deep and the other 2 run slant. So it's not my favorite, but guys have had a ton of success with this. I think Dan won the league with it. Defensive top, Dave Dewerson. Yeah, he is good with that 4 route play. Dave Dewerson, can't argue with that. The Indy mid. I have some sentimental. I have a lot of sentimental attachment to the Indianapolis defense, just born of like tournament experience, and that includes I think it's Cliff Odoms. He's their top inside linebacker. I have played a ton of the Indy Miami matchup as Indy, and you can get Cliff involved a little bit in that matchup. So I like him, but he's not good. Defensive bottom, he's got Cleveland, so he's got a very strong set of safeties here. Dewerson and Frank Minifield. That's as good as you could, just about as good as you could get this season. So that's going to be a strong. That's going to be a strong defense, and Drew can defend from wherever with whomever. Yeah, it'll be strong, and also having good ones at both top and bottom allows you to be more unpredictable. Um, like take Dizzy for example. Dizzy has an outstanding team. His best players on the bottom of the defense, so you're going to be able to attack the bottom, right? And to catch you off guard, he's going to have to be like with the run. I mean, catch you off guard, he's going to have to mix in some Kenny Easley or maybe Bryant at that top outside linebacker spot. That's no bueno. But with Drew's defense, you can't necessarily do that. Uh, so strong. This is a very strong team. He's got the pink demon. B.J. Edmonds is his return guy. The rest of the Seattle special teams is dog shit. As a league, we did not punt very well last season, so that seemed like such a huge deal 2, 3 seasons ago. And it is a big deal. Like, you want to win field position, obviously. But Drew's willing to risk. He wants that better returner with his great offensive line, kind of investing or protecting his hero round investment there. Extremely strong team for Drew here. Drew hungry to return to the title game and add to his 3 league titles. All right. We move now to Chicago. This is the quintessential DPS team, right? Like he won a championship a few seasons ago, pretty much doing nothing but returning kicks. He's got one of the best in the league. He does not have a great offensive line. We'll see if that's going to hold Jefferson back. I don't know. Um, but he's got Jim McMahon, who has been his quarterback for every season other than the one season where McMahon literally was not in the game, where we did the Japan round, and that season he took Tom Zach, who was uh, the fill-in for Jim, and he's going to pair him with Tony Dorsett. Tony Dorsett is like he's an okay back. I'm not very good with the 9-3 guys, but people who are more maneuverable than I am will do better. And then the Chicago receivers, Willie Gault's okay. What playbook is he in? He's in the Washington playbook. So he doesn't have a very good lineup for curl spamming, but Dan's also not a curl spammer. That reverse is out of there, my man. It's a fixed playbook. Because it would be useless if we didn't fix the playbook. I just got a message from Jay. Can't play RBI now, dude. That was a couple hours ago, my man. Yeah, Drew does give you the option. You can opt into it. But let's look at this insane defense. He's got Hanford Dixon up top, Michael Carter in the middle, and Howie Long on bottom. That's like a diagonal swoop of danger. Howie's going to be the second best pass rushing, like edge rusher. I kind of think of that bottom D end as your edge rusher because he comes in untouched on the 4 receiver routes because the running back is not back there to block him. Howie is the best on the OG RUM. Bruce Smith will be better than him this season, but still outstanding. Michael Carter is one of the best extra point blockers in the game, and Hanford Dixon is one of the best man defenders out of that top safety spot. So this is a crazy DPS team. He has the San Francisco special teams, replacing their weakest part with a very strong player, replacing Derek Crawford with James Jefferson. Dan's going to be extremely hard to score on, and he's going to be playing with a lot of short fields, I would think, right? Like this is a very strong team. My team. It is obscured a little bit, so let me read this to you. I got Bernie Kosar and Herschel Walker, quarterback, running back, San Francisco wide receivers. So Bernie, Herschel, and Jerry Rice is an extremely strong trio of offensive players. After thinking, playbooks started to go sooner than I thought they would. And so it really came down to whether I wanted to run it back with either the Miami or the Los Angeles playbook. I decided to go with Miami. That one hasn't been as strong in recent seasons. I think it'll still be okay. Part of the issue is by splitting up Banks and LT in the draft, you now have two teams instead of one that are extremely powerful because outside linebackers are never blocked on the Miami run. Um, yeah, I mean Bernie Herschel and Jerry Rice. That's a good team, right? Like I'm not bitching about it. Yeah. So and then Kevin Green will be in the league this season, as will Wilbur and Dwayne Bickett. They're not quite as strong, but really it's going to come down to McDonald is the bottom safety. Um, I think Chris just threw out Kevin Green because he's another good outside linebacker. But here's the deal. It really is going to Herschel Walker is a good back for this Miami playbook because he is fast enough um, that I can potentially evade an unblocked player defender. And okay, well he is bottom. He's bottom. McDonald's bottom. Um, oh, it does say that. Yeah, he's on the bottom. So he'll replace the Seattle safety. Herschel is good enough to beat a man defender. Um, and he's going to have to. Last season with Marcus Allen, who has the same speed characteristics, I ran really well when the defense was in a good position. But 2 seasons ago, with another 9-4 running back, exact same speed characteristics, I ran very poorly, regardless of the situation. So it's going to come down to me if I can really hurt people and get close to first downs on that run, because that's what makes the Miami playbook so dangerous. You need to hurt people with the run, because otherwise, if you're trying to pass all the time, and the other guy never has to worry about the run, it can get you play picked off the field. So it's a roll of the dice for me there. Los Angeles offensive line not good at all. Technically the best of the bad O lines. I think one of their guys has like 4 more power than rock bottom. Probably completely irrelevant. Defensively, we're certainly not very deep. The highlight, of course, is Tim McDonald. Yeah, so if a guy's not using outside linebacker, Chris, the Miami playbook bugs hard. So unfortunately, there's going to be like 4 or 5 games this season where I'm just going to have to work my ass off with Herschel. But I believe I can do it. Tim McDonald headlines the defense. He's an all right, not a great player. Carl Mecklenburg is going to be useful in a number of matchups, but not all of them. He is fast enough to put pressure on extra points, but you can usually get him off on him because he doesn't accelerate as quickly as some of the other, as like the elite extra point blockers do. So we'll see. I might be able to get a few. I might rush a few. It could be worse. So it's Tim McDonald and then Carl Mecklenburg are kind of the headliners of my defense. Certainly not what they're rocking in Chicago. On the D line, which is my favorite place to defend from, still going to do some of that. I got the working class hero himself, John Hand, a man I know very well. Again, I have a lot of sentimental fondness for guys on the Indy defense just because, like, you just got to scrap so hard with them that you can't help but have, like, you think of the times that it worked. Like, John Hand, I fucking love that guy. And John's probably going to be my go to when I want to defend from the top. Jacob Green, uh, brutalized by those Japanese men in Tokyo in 1987. He didn't have a great year that year, but he was a great player, and he should be better than they made him. He's a 14.09 guy. Um, so like we got a working class D line. It's not good. It's the worst we've ever had in Seattle because I usually make that a priority. That just was not in the cards this time around unless I wanted to reach in one of my first 2 picks for the Minnesota. Could I? Yeah, I would have to have taken him first. there just weren't very many, or reach on Howie in the second round, which I did think about. Um, we're gonna give it a ride. I don't know if this season with the relegation of or the possibility of relegation is the season to be fucking around and trying kind of a threadbare defense. But I was playing really well defensively by the end of last season. We're going to see if that carries over and can at least keep us in the big boy league. Washington, not great special teams. They got a really weak kicker, good punter. Green's not a good return man. You want him to be good. You dream of him being good. He's not good, right? He's not the worst though. He changes direction pretty well. So we'll see how that goes. I benefited greatly from strong special teams play last season. It's not going to be that way this season. So moving on here. Of the teams we've looked at so far, in terms of talent, Dan's and mine's are the worst. But Dan at least has that. I've got the crazy strong offense. He's got a very strong defense. We're not very balanced, though. All right? 40 FPS going back to San Francisco with the playbook. That's a mistake, man. It's a mistake. He had a good season um, 2 seasons ago. He made the playoffs. He had like a dream run, right? With that San Fran playbook. He's had it, I think, 2 other seasons and has struggled to win even a game. So we'll see. He's got a very good quarterback. Boomer Esiason's just a Japan Elway clone. So he's fast and he's got a strong arm, right? He's good. Joe Morris, not a great back. And I think San Fran with a top run would be very strong. But, if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a marvelous Christmas. It's not. It's a run to the bottom. It fucking sucks. So this is not a very talented offense beyond the quarterback. Morris is kind of ho-hum. The Cleveland receiver core, what's a wound for, I think, 40 in this set is that their slowest guy is a bottom receiver. And you need that bottom receiver. I mean, that's where Jerry lines up. So on pass one, you want to be able to get him the ball and have him shake a guy and get you a first down. And then on the other two, you need him streaking deep so you can punish a guy who's fucking around up by the line of scrimmage. Can't do that with Webster Slaughter. So not a great offensive lineup here in a suspect playbook. Miami offensive line's pretty good. They got one monster guy. Washington top, very strong unit. They were the number 2 pick overall in the regular draft. I would have gone with New York top myself, but you can't really argue with winding up with those guys. Minnesota mid has 3 guys who are slightly above rock bottom. They're not going to help you. And then the Chicago bottom has a couple of guys who are slightly above rock bottom. They're not going to help you much. So he's going to live and die on that top half of his defense. There are worse things to live and die off of, though, like the San Fran playbook. And then Chicago special teams, Dennis Gentry, one of the best in the game. I think they've got a very good kicker and a shitty punter. So 40 does tend to maximize his returns from whatever punter he has. So I think he'll be all right in that regard. Looking now at Ingram 21's team. It's blocked here, but I can tell you who he's got. He's got Jay Schrader. He's got Eric Dickerson. So Schrader is going to pair with the Denver receivers. And I think he's got the Indy playbook. No, he's got Washington. That's right. He kind of cheesed the rules a little bit. Jerry is an unapologetic curl cheeser. He's good at it, and he ain't afraid to do it. He's not any more afraid to do it than anybody else who's notorious for doing that kind of stuff. So he held off on drafting a playbook and ended up with one that suits him very, very strongly. He doesn't have great personnel for it, though. Again, trying to curl with the Denver wide receivers, that sucks, right? Because they're the worst unit in the game. Eric Dickerson, though, great running back. He can punish people, and he's got a strong O line with Indy and good special teams with Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a sneaky, very strong special teams group. So Jerry's going to hope for some great field position all season. Looking at him defensively here, it's not great. He took Denver top real early. Right? I want to say like in the second round. And I remember thinking at the time, that's a reach. But like within a couple hours, I realized, no, it's not a reach. There's no such thing as a reach. The league is so big now that defensive talent gets spread so thin that you can't reach on a player who has initial speed and plays on the top or the bottom of a defense. Yeah, there's no such thing as a reach. Now, Rulon Jones is one of the least among the players who have at least a point of initial speed. He's got one. The best guys have two. I think he has 8 acceleration. The best guys have 7. And his top speed is not very good either. It's 14. So he's one of the slowest good defenders, but he's still a good defender. As Chris notes, he's going to be hanging his hat on Rulon here. He took Griffin in the hero round. Griffin has like decent acceleration and decent top speed, but he has no initial. Whereas Tim McDonald, who he passed on, does have a point of initial. Didn't really understand it. How big of a difference is that ultimately going to make? I don't know. Griffin's basically a Fred Robinson clone, and Fred Robinson's an okay player. And then he's adding that to the Miami bottom. Miami bottom has a guy who's basically identical to Jacob Green, right? He's a 1409 guy. I think that's TJ Turner down there. So, I mean, it's not a great unit. This is the worst defense we've seen so far. And there's not a ton of talent on offense. Where the talent is a running back, of course. That's a huge one. If you're only going to have talent in one place, that's where you want it. And then on special teams. So Jerry's going to be living and dying off of that this season. And we'll see how that goes. Defending league champion, Cody. Cody started off strong, having Dan Marino, Farrell Edmonds, and the Minnesota top defensive unit with his first 3 picks. Oh, that's interesting. I forgot Jerry won the Hero Cup. So, yeah. All right. So, in his shoes, I think Altoon's an 8-1 speed guy, right? I'm going to take, in his shoes, I think I'm going to take, man, I don't know. Pierce Holt is a Rulon Jones clone, so you'd have the same guy at both spots. Byron Evans is the best player who's available, but he's not in a perfect spot, but he's in a fairly useful spot. So let me give some credit to Jerry here, because I forgot that he won the Hero Cup. He is going to be able to address one of his soft spots. God damn. I think if I were him, I would probably get Altoon. Just so you got one receiver you can do business with. But it might be hard to pass up some of those defensive options as well. But his team's going to be better than it is right now. So we'll give him I got to give him some credit for that. My bad, boys. Defending champion Cody's team. Dan Marino, outstanding. If you don't run with the quarterback, he's the best guy. Timmy Smith. Timmy Smith is not a good running back. Timmy Smith has been a very successful running back in this league. The thing with him is he's just he's slow. Like he starts off fast, but he don't get much faster. And that's the issue with him. He's usable, right? I think when you're playing Cody, you're really going to want to make him beat you with Timmy Smith. Yeah, Timmy is a legend. He's had a lot more success than he deserves, I would say. and then the Seattle wide receiver core in the Indy playbook. I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. When you add in Farrell Edmonds, the unique routes on Indy Pass 2, I think it is. Edmonds is always going to be open, so you can, or almost always going to be open. So you just dump it off to him, but he's basically just past the line of scrimmage. So you got to work your ass off to, okay, Indy Pass 1, that's right. Yeah, I mean, how often do you see guys really kill in the Indy playbook with the best I ever saw with Indy Pass 1 is Brad Bell, and he could crush with it. You don't see it quite as much in the league, right? But you can see it. Mr. Hands, Daryl Turner, not a great fit for Indy Pass 2, but he's going to get the rock a lot, I would think. But Largent and Edmonds will be an interesting combo in that playbook. This is a good offense. And he's got the Chicago O-line, one of the best in the game. Minnesota top defensive unit, 2 very, very good players. That's a good one. Cleveland mid, that's nothing. Denver bottom, also nothing. The best guy down there is Dennis Smith, who was a badass in real life, but he ain't shit on this game. Minnesota special teams is very, very good in the Indianapolis playbook. So Cody is set up real well to repeat as champion. And if he goes 2 for 2 in his first 2 seasons, we might just have to call the whole goddamn thing off. A good team there in Green Bay. Max, San Francisco team, Doug Williams, Marcus Allen at running back. The Minnesota receiver core with Drew Hill stepping in for Leo Lewis at bottom. So this is a very strong core, right? And it's going to be in the Cleveland playbook, which has some really good looks for all the receivers. This is Doug Williams is a very capable quarterback. I've always thought of like Williams and Sims are they're like the threshold, because below them you really got to start taking into account some of the throws that you try and make with these guys. I learned that the hard way in the first half last season with Jay Schrader. But they're not going to make they're not going to hit the tight windows that the guys ahead of them. No, I like Sims. Sims is the quarterback of the all-time All Seattle team, right? Like he's the tits as far as I'm concerned. But Williams is he's a good he's a solid quarterback. Marcus Allen had a great season with him last season. He can do what you need him to do, and Max a very elusive runner. So I think he'll have a good season with Marcus Allen. This defense, holy shit. He's got the Indy bottom, Dwayne Bickett and Fred Robinson, right? But then otherwise he's got the Dallas defense, which is not a good defense to have. Now, unfortunately for me, he's going to be well suited to combat Herschel Walker with Dwayne Bickett. But just looking ahead, like any play that he doesn't play pick me on, if he's going to camp out on these underneath guys, neither Robinson or Bickett is fast enough to get to the top, and they can just be quick hitters to my top receiver the whole time. So that's kind of the trade-off there. Yeah, this is not the first time Mac has gone. He has gone all offense before. He did not this time. He's been an early pick on Indy because I recall he said that he wanted to maybe block some field goals, and if you can't get LT and Charles Haley isn't in the hero draft, then Bickett's your best option. So, very interesting squad there in San Francisco. Matt coming off his best season with a run to the championship. He'll be looking to repeat. Nelson, 79. I feel like every other season, Nelson 79 has Dave Craig. He didn't last season. He had Randall. Dave Craig, Roger Craig. That's not the best combo we've seen, folks. That's not the best quarter. That ain't John Elway and Bo Jackson. I can I can tell you that. He's got a great receiver core, though. It'll be Sterling Sharp out there with Todd Christensen and Tim Brown. That's killer. And his playbook is Chicago. Now that's very interesting. Um, Christensen might end up being a little underutilized in this, and Sharp is going to solely be a deep threat. So Levi is going to be looking to huck it deep. If he thinks the guy's creeping up, he's going to throw deep. Um, he's really going to have to do work with Roger Craig, though. I don't love that. He's got Chicago playbook. He's got Ronnie Lott on defense. He's got John Offerdahl in there as well. Offerdahl, I don't know how useful he's going to be. He's good against the same playbooks that Mongo is good against. So a handful of them. He does not have Mongo's speed. I don't know who Levi's bottom is going to be. It's irrelevant. And he's got the New York special teams, which gives him a big-time punter, the biggest in the game, and not a great return man, not a very good kicker either. So, running the ball with Husker legend Roger Craig is going to make or break Levi's season. We'll see how he goes. All right, let's look at Richie's team here. That's Joe Montana tucked in back there and Charles White. This is an outstanding quarterback running back combo. He's put them in the Denver playbook, which can be one of the most explosive in the game. He does not have great receivers, but here's the thing. Here's the thing with the Denver playbook. Any group of receivers that isn't Denver or Dallas is going to be an improvement over what Denver usually has, and the offense is great in tournaments. So he's actually with Booza, he's got a better receiver than you would normally have in the Denver offense. So this is a very strong squad here. Defensively, Miami top is nothing, but he's got an outstanding middle part of his defense with Fred Young, one of the very best extra point blockers in the game. And then, of course, he's got Lawrence Taylor on the bottom. So kicking against Richie is going to be a freaking nightmare, right? Like it's going to be all but impossible to do. It also makes him very strong. He's got some very strong options for run defense. Fred Young is one of those guys that you can't use in every matchup, but you can always use him when you're sure the other guy's going to pass, like if it's a shotgun formation or something. And he's in a great spot. He's in the middle of the field. Makes it hard for a passer to commit where he wants to throw the ball. And then, Lawrence Taylor, best of the best, dude. Lawrence Taylor champion. Lawrence Taylor finally got the opportunity to play some big games last season, and he came through. So Richie has assembled an outstanding squad here. He's got Miami special teams, very strong punter, not a great kicker, not a great return man. In fact, a very bad return man. But Richie, he doesn't care. He said in the messages while we were drafting, he put this team together to score points, baby. And so he's got the offensive talent to do it. This is a very good team. This is as good as Richie has ever had, or very close to it. Tecmo Ninja back in Cleveland, allegedly. Crawling back to Cleveland after stops in Miami. He was in Pittsburgh for a season. Now he's back in Cleveland. And he's got... Yeah, well, Richie should be feeling good. That's a hell of a team. All right, Tecmo Ninja. Tommy Kramer. You could say Tommy Kramer's not a good quarterback. Tommy Kramer just won the championship last season. He's fine. He can make the throws. In this offense, in the Dallas offense, O.J. Anderson, I would have taken a 10-speed running back here. But, I mean, you can't really argue with this set of offensive talent. O.J. Anderson and then the Washington wide receivers. The Washington wide receivers crush in the Dallas playbook. They fuck really hard. I can tell you from experience, they are outstanding in that playbook. So this is a very strong offense here for Chris. He's got Carl Banks. Yeah, that's it. There's not much that's going to help you in the New York mid. It doesn't matter who his bottom is. But he's got Carl Banks. So again, it's not something that with my offense I'm going to be able to like punish. I'm just gonna have to consistently beat Chris head to head, running back versus outside linebacker. Um, but other teams are going to be able to target Banks with top runs, right? That's kind of the trade off of having like a centerpiece guy on defense. Indy special teams, they've got the best kicker punter combo. Albert Bentley, not much of a return man. The Dallas playbook, I've been saying it now pretty much since the beginning, ever since the first season. That Dallas playbook it's the best one. It's the best one overall. I believe that is the case. So Chris is looking to bounce back in a big way. He's had a couple of rough seasons. This is a team that can break that cycle that he's in. So best of luck to him. Looking now at Oltada's New York Giant squad. Big Blue came out of nowhere last year and shot into contention. Very nearly made the playoffs. I think they got Danny White. Yeah, Danny White at quarterback. Walter Payton at running back. So Oltada rode Bo Jackson into contention last season. Walter isn't quite Bo Jackson, but he's an outstanding back. Danny White at quarterback, Dallas wide receivers. That's not great. We don't love to see that. Seattle playbook, though, is an outstanding one. But the only drawback for him is that he's not going to be able to throw any passes to Peyton. And Dallas wide receivers, that top guy, I think it's Renfro, he's not going to get very deep on pass two, and you like him to get deep. So that might be a potential stumbling block for Oltada. Looking now at his defense, though, the Los Angeles top, Sean Jones and Michael Haynes are about the best thing you can say about them is they're not rock bottom guys. They still play awful slow, no initial speed, no acceleration. But they're going to sandwich Kevin Green in between those two, and he's going to be a very good player. He's got the same top speed as Carl Banks. Doesn't start as fast and doesn't accelerate as fast, but he's still going to be damn good in that top outside linebacker spot. And then the Washington bottom is a very strong unit. Charles Mann will be the third best pass rusher this season, and Darrell Green. Just to put it in context, Darrell Green is like, I would say, the third best option for Oltada, and he is the equivalent of my best player, right? So this is a good defense. It's a defense that's going to allow Oltada to be unpredictable in his play calling, and you're not going to be able to target one side in favor of the other. He's going to get a decent pass rush on 4 receiver plays. This is a very good defense. I might like this defense even more than I like his offense. Cleveland special teams. One of the best, probably the best special teams unit. Probably better overall than Chicago. And then, listen, I love the Seattle playbook. It's very user-friendly. I think Oltada is going to do real well. So did we make it through everybody there? I think we did. I didn't miss anybody, did I? So let's do lightning, shabby, not too shabby, Dizzy's team, Bo Jackson, John Elway, Mark Bavaro, Bruce Smith. It's not too shabby. It's not too shabby. Drew Manster's team, not too shabby. He's got a versatile defense and kind of like, in terms of talent, it's kind of a midline offense. But, I mean, Drew has a strong claim to being the best player in the league. So he's going to be fine offensively. Dan's team, it's right there on the rim because the offense is so untalented, but Dan, of course, is going to do work with this defense, so that's not too shabby. my team, it comes down to, can I get the job done with Herschel Walker? If I can, then it's not too shabby. This is a good offense. And listen, I'm a pro on defense. I'm not the best, but I should be able to get it done. I'm gonna rate it not too shabby. If we're a handful of games into the season and I'm eating shit big time with Herschel Walker, you can ask me and I'll say, no, that was a shabby draft. I should have taken another playbook. My man 40, I don't want to be vindictive. I don't want to belabor the sand. I don't want to belabor anything. And I would never disrespect Dexter Manley. Never disrespect Dexter Manley. Not too shabby in Buffalo. Jerry, I don't love his quarterback. I don't love his receivers. If he adds a receiver, if he adds another warm body on defense, I like this team a lot more. I'm going to say it's kind of shabby right now, but it's going to jump to not too shabby once he infuses a little more talent into it. Cody's Green Bay team, definitely not too shabby. I'd like to think that Timmy Smith is going to hold him back. Timmy Smith kind of held me back, but I still went to the finals with him. I don't think Timmy Smith's going to hold Cody back. I will say he's a big step back from Neil Anderson, who he had last season. The Max team, not too shabby. I actually love his offensive personnel. I don't love the playbook he's in, but he's a lot better with it than I would be. That defense, no bueno, right? Like, it's not good. But that offense is good enough. Max should be able to score 2-3 times a game. It's going to give him the opportunity to win. So I'm going to say not too shabby. Nelson is teetering on the edge of shabby. Teetering. I don't like Roger Craig as a feature back. I don't like him. He's going to have to really work his ass off with Roger Craig. Otherwise, his outstanding receiver core is going to go to waste. That said, Ronnie Lott on defense. Ronnie Lott can get a lot done, just him. Richie Smith, definitely not too shabby. This is one of the best teams he's ever put out there. Richie is a guy who has contended before, and this could be a season where he contends. And with the prospect of relegation hanging over everybody's head, guys who are kind of sketchy about their draft, like, I don't know, the guy up in Seattle, for example, look at a team like this from Richie, and it's like, holy shit. Chris put together a team here that's not too shabby. He can get exploited on defense, but if he gets lucky in his play calling, that's a really good offensive set. He's going to be able to score for sure. And then our boy, Oltada, he's going to have to punish guys in the pass game is what it comes down to, because you're really going to want to fucking sit on Walter Payton. But he's got a good balanced defense. So this is a very strong team as well. I think that's not too shabby. But I think that's about all I got here, boys. Thanks for tuning in. Who says that they like Nelson's squad? Because I don't really like Nelson's squad. I don't want to be disrespectful. Lots of bowls being smoked. Yeah. Nelson's big Achilles heel is going to be that running back. He's got to get work done with Roger Craig. He does have pretty strong juice. So maybe he can. I said that last time I said that, though. Dan made a point of trying to humiliate me the next time we played, because he's like a Michael Jordan psycho who constantly has to manufacture this chip on his shoulder to motivate himself because he's insane. But the last time I complimented Levi's jukes, Dan kicked my ass in the following season. So I'm sure I just called down the thunder on myself. But all right, boys, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Tell your friends.